Melbourne Park is all systems go for the Australian Open. Fans will start streaming through the gates for day one action tomorrow morning. It's not just the tennis stars serving up the goods. There are plenty of options for hungry spectators as well.
70 years since he became the youngest player to win the men's singles at the Australian Open, Ken Rosewall has dozens of titles. But there was no doubting the emotion of this moment. His image stamped on the coins that will be used before every match.
Well, the wind didn't help. It brought tears to my eyes, but it was very emotional, I suppose. You know, being part of tennis for so many years, a lot of good memories there.
And a little advice for the game's youngest stars.
I think you've got to take the good with the bad and work hard when you have a chance to practice.
With hours to go, the practice isn't just on the courts but in the kitchens too. While Aussies love their sport, in Melbourne food is the main event.
The last 5 days we've been prepping very hard and, you know, going through all the produce, but there's been months of planning basically for this.
Everything is done fresh. We do it every day. So, for example, we're using about 1,500 dumplings every day.
From luxurious corporate dining to the tournament's own take on a spritz by the sea, thousands of plates and plenty of drinks will be served up over the next 2 weeks.
I think all the pressure is on us to make sure that we execute a really fantastic product, because I know the tennis players are going to be doing their bit.
Well, most of us won't be sweating it out on court. All the action of the Australian Open can be exhausting. Luckily this year, fans can kick back at the beach bar with a cool drink. That's game, set, match. The sport's smallest fans counting down until their heroes hit the court. Penelope Leash, 9 News.
Ahead in
Make it a multi this Aussie Open with Sportsbet. Gamble responsibly.
The courts are painted, the nets are up, and tomorrow the Australian Open will roar to life here at Melbourne Park. The game's biggest names having a final hit out this afternoon, except for one, Novak Djokovic cancelling his session as he manages his hamstring injury.
Open season in Melbourne. The Australian Slam ready for its first serve.
The buzz and the atmosphere around a Grand Slam is pretty special.
Rafael Nadal running through a session on centre court. But Novak Djokovic was a no-show. He will play his first match on Tuesday at a tournament reinvigorated by homegrown success.
I think the whole Grand Slam last year for Australian tennis was massive, and to see the support and atmosphere and build up it got was crazy.
Ash Barty ending Australia's 44-year drought. If Nick Kyrgios ended the men's 47-year wait.
Chaos. Honestly, chaos. Yeah.
Kokkinakis calling for some understanding ahead of Nick's singles quest.
Some of the stuff he does that maybe people see as negative gets thrown in the spotlight a little bit more than others, but he's no saint at the same time. He's done a couple of things that are probably warranted. At the end of the day, he's just finding a way to try and do as well as he can. There's a lot of pressure on him. He feels that he's just trying to do as well as he can.
Kokkinakis is confident about his own campaign.
I think I've got a bit more in me this time than I did last year. Although I won the tournament in Adelaide sort of last year, I feel like I'm playing better tennis this time around.
As to whether he thinks the Special Ks can claim the doubles crown again?
No, I don't.
Either way, it will be a milestone doubles draw for Australian tennis. Sam Stosur retiring from all forms of the game.
It just felt right to call it a day here. My home Grand Slam, where obviously I have huge support and friends and family and lots of people here. So it's certainly been a tough decision, but I think it's the right one.
Sam Jordan, 9 News.
Well, things got heated between long-time Australian teammates David Warner and Matthew Wade in the Big Bash this afternoon. All seemed to be forgiven, though, by the end of the match after Wade's Hurricanes sealed a 5-wicket win over the Sydney Thunder. Nathan Ellis's hat-trick, the highlight in Hobart. Australia's women's captain Meg Lanning says she's refreshed and re-energised after taking a 5-month break from cricket for personal reasons.
There's certainly no shame in putting your hand up and saying you just need a little bit of a break and you might need some help with that. And I guess that's something I haven't done a lot of throughout my career and life in general.
Lanning will make her comeback tomorrow in a one-dayer against Pakistan. The Wanderers have withstood an attacking assault to draw 1-1 with Melbourne City. The A-League leaders had 31 shots on goal, but Western Sydney held on and claimed a point. Sydney FC was ahead of the glory in Perth before a second half power outage saw the field go dark. Play halted for almost 15 minutes. The lights eventually turned back on, but there was nobody at home in the Sky Blues' defence. Sydney letting a 2-goal lead slip to draw 2-2. Manchester United has taken bragging rights in a controversial derby against Manchester City. At Old Trafford, the Red Devils came from a goal down to win 2-1. Their first strike awarded despite an offside Marcus Rashford appearing to interfere in play. United is now third on the Premier League ladder, 1 point behind City. Liverpool is fast losing touch with the top four. The Reds, 9th after being thrashed 3-0 by Brighton. Well, Allianz Stadium will light up when the best rugby sevens players return for the Sydney Sevens later this month. Charlotte Caslick will be one of the star attractions and has revealed an NRL team is inspiring Australia's campaign.
She's the face of rugby sevens in Australia and the best player in the world, but Charlotte Caslick wants to be remembered as the best there ever was.
I kind of, like last year, set out saying I want to be the greatest rugby sevens player of all time, and I just need to keep pushing myself to continue to strive for greatness.
Australia's men's and women's teams are reigning World Series champions and get their chance to shine on home soil when the Sydney Sevens returns at the new Allianz Stadium from January 27.
I think we're excited to come back home and be able to perform in front of Australian fans and I guess show them why we've been so successful.
The Women's World Cup and Commonwealth Games triumphs in 2022 inspired by a rival code.
We've actually spoken about Penrith as well and how they almost unbeatable, and it looks like they're never going to lose a game.
Just like the back-to-back NRL premiers, Australia's Seven Stars are channeling their inner Iceman and Maverick.
This season we've sort of been using Top Gun as a reference point, and we're the elite of the elite. We have to make quick decisions under fatigue and all of that.
In 2020, Caslick crossed codes to play with the Roosters. The 27-year-old insists she's happy in green and gold.
Or any chance of a return to the NRLW?
I'll never say never, but for the moment, I just love rugby and I love the opportunities that I get through rugby, the Olympic Games and everything that comes with it. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy playing rugby.
Zach Bailey, 9 News.
The Sydney Kings survived a late scare to hold on for a 5-point win against Illawarra today after trailing by 13 points. The Hawks drew level in the final minute, but the Kings held on for a 6th straight victory, getting home 84 points to 79. Memphis superstar Ja Morant has put on a show against Indiana.
Oh, my word! Holy cow!
This basket labelled the NBA's dunk of the season. Morant's fancy footwork and flying leap, stunning everyone, including his teammates on the bench. It was the highlight of the Grizzlies' 130-112 win. Well, thrilling start to the NFL playoffs. Jacksonville pulling off the 3rd biggest comeback in post-season history. The Jaguars trailing the Chargers by 27 points before rallying in front of their home fans, sealing a 31-30 victory with a field goal on the last play of the game. San Francisco, meantime, did it much easier, knocking out Seattle 41-23. And crowds packed Singapore's coastline for the latest Sail GP event. Team Australia leads after a challenging first day of light and patchy winds. The Aussies coming second in both races to sit ahead of Great Britain and Canada overall. And Pete, great to have you back in the chair, and you've timed your return perfectly. Our 2-week tennis marathon beginning from 10 a.m. tomorrow right here on 9.
We wish you well in the coverage, James. Thanks so much.